Early origins, nature spirits, deities, and the unseen world. The roots of these creatures can be found in animistic beliefs and ancient pagan religions, where the natural world was imbued with spirits and divine forces. Before the rise of organized religions, people perceived spirits in trees, rivers, mountains, and the earth itself. Sitara fairies, the concept of fairies likely emerged from these ancient beliefs in nature spirits. In various Indo-European mythologies, there were lesser deities or elemental beings associated with fertility, growth, and the cycles of nature. Sitara nymphs and dryads. Greek mythology. Ancient Greek mythology featured nymphs, nature spirits, and dryads, tree spirits, who inhabited natural spaces. These beings, often beautiful and benevolent, influenced the environment and sometimes interacted with mortals. While not fairies, in the modern sense, they represent early prototypes of nature-bound magical beings. Sitara Fairies. Persian mythology. Some scholars suggest a connection to Persian fairies, angelic beings mentioned in antiquity, which may have influenced the development of the fairy concept. Sitara. Pre-Christian European beliefs. Across Celtic, Germanic, and Slavic cultures, there were widespread beliefs in little people, hidden folk, or good neighbors. These were often ambiguous beings, capable of both helping and harming humans. They were seen as guardians of specific places or resources, and their benevolence was often conditional on respectful human behavior. They could bless crops, aid in childbirth, or, if angered, cause misfortune, illness, or lead travelers astray. Sitara elves. The term elf itself has deep Germanic and Norse roots. Sitara. Norse mythology. Elfar. In Old Norse, elfar referred to a class of supernatural beings. Norse mythology divided elves into two main categories. Sitara Yoselfar, light elves, dwelling in Elfheim. These elves were beautiful, radiant, and associated with the sun, fertility, and creativity. They were considered benevolent and sometimes connected to the god Freya. Sitara Dokelfar, dark elves, Svartalfar, black elves. These were often described as living underground, sometimes in caves, and were associated with darkness, craftsmanship, and sometimes malice. There's debate among scholars whether Dokelfar and Svartalfar are distinct or overlapping concepts, and some interpret them as dwarves. Sitara. Germanic folklore. Throughout Germanic regions, elves were often seen as nature spirits, sometimes mischievous or capable of causing illness, like elf shot, an unexplained ailment. They were not always benevolent and could be a source of trouble if not appeased. Sitara goblins. The origins of goblins are often linked to more inherently malevolent or grotesque spirits. Sitara. Medieval European folklore. The term goblin itself appears in medieval European texts, particularly in English and French folklore. The word gobelin is first attested in the Barahua century in Normandy, referring to a mischievous or wicked spirit. Sitara. Household spirits and demonic associations. Goblins often shared characteristics with other household spirits like hobgoblins or brownies, but with a more sinister or grotesque twist. Over time, particularly with the spread of Christianity, many pagan spirits, including some early forms of goblins, became demonized, associated with evil, darkness, and temptation. They were often depicted as ugly, misshapen, and inherently malicious, delighting in causing harm or misfortune. Medieval period. Christianization and folkloric evolution. The spread of Christianity significantly impacted the perception and portrayal of these creatures. Sitara fairies. Sitara. Fallen angels or demoted spirits. A common Christian folk theory held that fairies were either fallen angels who were not evil enough for hell nor good enough for heaven, or spirits caught in between during a divine rebellion. This provided a theological explanation for their existence outside of traditional Christian cosmology. Sitara. Human souls. The dead. Another theory linked fairies to the souls of the unbaptized or the pagan dead, contributing to their sometimes melancholy or spectral nature. Sitara. Ambiguity and danger. Despite some attempts at Christianization, fairies largely retained their ambiguous nature in folklore. They were beautiful but dangerous, enchanting but capable of stealing children, changelings, or luring mortals to their doom in the fairy realm. The concept of fairy rings and the danger of eating fairy food became prevalent. Sitara. Courtly love and romance. In medieval romances, particularly in France, fairies sometimes appeared as powerful enchantresses or benevolent patrons, influencing human affairs and possessing magical gifts. Stories like Sir Orfeo highlight the allure and peril of the fairy world. Sitara elves. Sitara. Diminished power. As Christianity gained dominance, the once god-like status of elves in Norse mythology diminished. They became smaller, more ethereal, and less powerful, often merging with the broader concept of fairies. Sitara mischievous or helpful household spirits. In some regions, particularly in Scandinavia and Germanic areas, elves continued to be seen as house spirits like Nissa or Tomte, who could be helpful if treated well but would cause mischief if offended. Sitara literary appearances. Elves began to appear in medieval literature, often in a more generalized, fairy, role. Sitara goblins. Sitara explicitly malevolent, goblins solidified their image as explicitly malevolent and grotesque creatures. They were frequently associated with dark places, underground layers, and a desire to harm or trick humans. Sitara folklore of specific regions. Specific types of goblins emerged in regional folklore, such as the redcap in Anglo-Scottish border tales, a murderous goblin who dyes its head in human blood, or various kobolds in Germanic folklore, which could be benevolent house spirits or malicious mine spirits. Sitara thieves and tricksters. Their cunning and greedy nature became a defining characteristic, often leading them to hoard treasure or play cruel tricks. Renaissance and early modern period. Literary flourishing. The Renaissance saw a renewed interest in classical mythology and a burgeoning literary scene that embraced and transformed folkloric creatures. Sitara fairies. Sitara Shakespeare's influence. William Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, late 16th century, profoundly shaped the popular image of fairies, particularly in English-speaking cultures. His fairies, like Oberon, Titania, and Puck, were mischievous, magical, and often associated with nature and the night, but generally less sinister than earlier folkloric counterparts. This play solidified the image of tiny, winged beings. Sitara Spencer's Fairy Queen. Edmund Spencer, his epic poem The Fairy Queen, late 16th century, presented a more allegorical and chivalrous depiction of fairies, often equating them with knights and ladies in a fantastical realm. Sitara fairy tales. The rise of literary fairy tales, particularly those collected and written by authors like Charles Perrault in France, late 17th century, further popularized fairies, though often in more benevolent or guiding roles within moralistic narratives. Sitara elves. Sitara interchangeability with fairies. During this period, the distinction between elves and fairies often blurred. Elf became almost interchangeable with fairy, particularly in English literature, referring to small, ethereal, magical beings. Sitara diminutive and whimsical. The image of elves continued to shrink, often becoming diminutive, winged, and whimsical, aligning with Shakespearean portrayals. Sitara goblins. Sitara consistently negative. Goblins largely remained in their role as grotesque, malevolent, and often cowardly creatures in folklore and literature. They were antagonists, representing ugliness, greed, and a chaotic nature. Sitara children's literature. As children's literature began to emerge, goblins often served as clear-cut villains, providing a simple dichotomy of good versus evil. Victorian and Edwardian eras, Romanticism and categorization. The 19th and early 20th centuries witnessed a surge of interest in folklore, Romanticism, and a desire to categorize and illustrate these magical beings. Sitara fairies. Sitara Victorian fairy painting. This era saw the peak of fairy painting, where artists like Richard Dead, John Leinster Fitzgerald, and Arthur Rackham depicted fairies with exquisite detail, often as delicate, ethereal beings, sometimes with butterfly wings, inhabiting idyllic natural settings. This solidified the image of tiny, beautiful, often innocent fairies. Sitara children's literature. Authors like J.M. Barrie, Peter Pan, and Hans Christian Andersen further popularized fairies in children's stories, often portraying them as whimsical, helpful, or sometimes capricious, but rarely truly evil. Sitara theosophy and spiritualism. Some spiritual movements sought to prove the existence of fairies, often linking them to elemental spirits or nature consciousness. The Cottingley fairies photographs, though later debunked, exemplify this widespread belief and desire for tangible proof. Sitara elves. Sitara Christmas elves. A significant development in this period was the emergence of the Christmas elf in North American folklore, popularized by poems like A Visit from St. Nicholas, 1823, and illustrations by Thomas Nast. These elves were depicted as Santa's diminutive, industrious helpers, contrasting sharply with their earlier, more ambiguous origins. Sitara literary elves. While the tiny, whimsical elf persisted, some authors continued to explore their more ancient, powerful roots. Sitara goblins. Sitara villainous archetype. Goblins firmly established themselves as a common villainous archetype in fantasy and children's literature. They were often depicted as crude, unorganized, and prone to infighting, serving as cannon fodder for heroic protagonists. Sitara Brothers Grimm, the collection of German folk tales by the Brothers Grimm early 19th century, included many stories featuring various grotesque and sometimes malevolent creatures that fit the general description of goblins, further cementing their image. Sitara Industrial Revolution fears. Some interpretations link the increasingly monstrous and subterranean depiction of goblins to anxieties about industrialization, mines, and the unseen dangers of the underground. Modern fantasy, reimagination and diversification. The 20th and 21st centuries have seen a massive explosion of fantasy literature, film, and games, leading to a rich reimagining and diversification of fairies, elves, and goblins. Sitara fairies. Sitara Daka interpretations. While the benevolent, sparkly fairy still exists, modern fantasy often explores darker, more complex, and dangerous aspects of fairy lore. Authors delve back into the ancient folklore, portraying fairies as powerful, amoral, and sometimes terrifying entities, bound by strict, often alien, rules of etiquette and magic, e.g., the Fae in urban fantasy. Sitara urban fantasy. Fairies are frequently integrated into contemporary settings, hidden among humans or existing in parallel realms, often with ancient grudges or responsibilities. Sitara elves. Sitara Tolkien's enduring legacy. J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings mid-20th century single-handedly revolutionized the perception of elves. His Eldar were noble, immortal, wise, beautiful, graceful, and powerful beings, deeply connected to nature and possessing ancient knowledge and magic. This archetype became the dominant portrayal of elves in high fantasy and continues to influence countless works. Sitara diverse subspecies. Modern fantasy has further diversified elves, creating various sub-races like wood elves, high elves, dark elves, drow in Dungeons or Dragons, and even more monstrous variations, each with distinct cultures and characteristics. Sitara beyond the stereotype. While Tolkien's elves remain influential, some modern works challenge this archetype, portraying elves as flawed, arrogant, or even decaying. Sitara goblins. Sitara fantasy race. Goblins became a staple fantasy race, often depicted as small, green-skinned, chaotic, and numerous antagonists. They are frequently used as the foot soldiers of a larger evil force. Sitara sympathetic portrayals. Increasingly, modern fantasy also explores more nuanced or even sympathetic portrayals of goblins. Some stories give them their own cultures, motivations, and even heroes, challenging the simplistic, evil monster stereotype. They might be depicted as survivors, oppressed minorities, or as having a unique, albeit often crude, ingenuity. Sitara popular culture. Goblins are ubiquitous in fantasy games, e.g., Dungeons or Dragons, Warcraft movies, and literature, serving a wide range of roles from comic relief to genuinely threatening villains. Conclusion. The history of fairies, elves, and goblins is a testament to the enduring power of human imagination and the complex relationship between humanity and the unknown. From ancient nature spirits and demigods to literary archetypes and modern fantasy races, these creatures have continually adapted and transformed, reflecting changing cultural values, fears, and desires. They are not merely static figures from folklore but dynamic entities that continue to evolve, offering endless possibilities for storytelling and exploring the multifaceted nature of good, evil, beauty, and the uncanny. Their journey through history highlights how myths and legends serve as a mirror to the human condition, perpetually revealing new insights into our perceptions of ourselves and the world around us.